Welcome back, Wrestle Reaction fans, to another episode of Wrestle Reaction. We are live Tuesday night, April 9th, 2019. This is without a doubt the biggest episode we get to do in the entire calendar year. It is the WrestleMania weekend review show. NXT Takeover New York, WrestleMania 35, the WWE Hall of Fame 2019, Raw, and Smackdown, all emanating from the Barclays Center and MetLife Stadium in the shadows of New York City. I am your host, Frank Manzo, and this is his second time on the show, my best friend, my good co-host, Rich DeJoseph. Welcome back, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me back on, especially after WrestleMania, big weekend, so I'm honored to be on for a second time.
Oh, you're on for a second time, and you are on for one of the most exciting shows we get to do all year. This is just an action-packed jam show that we have tonight. I mean, literally, Friday night NXT TakeOver, then Saturday night the Hall of Fame. Much controversy there, which we're going to talk about. WrestleMania 35 all day Sunday, and then, of course, Raw and SmackDown closing out the week in the Barclays Center. Rich, we're going to NXT first, or we're going to WrestleMania first? Where would you like to go, my guest tonight?
You know what? Let's go in order. We'll start with NXT.
All right, so NXT TakeOver it is. This was an absolute amazing show, by the way. And for those of you wondering if I went, I did not go. The only thing I went to live this weekend was WrestleMania 35, and I have to tell you, after how long of a day it was and how great an experience was and how everything worked out for that, including, by the way, shout out to the Squared Circle Entertainment tailgate that we went to on Sunday. Great guys. We had a great time. What a day. Had a blast, and honestly, that was the only thing I did, and I am completely satisfied with that. I absolutely loved it. But Friday night, we were all treated to an amazing, amazing show, start to finish. There are people literally saying that the main event of this show may be the best match they've seen in years. Some of them saying it may be the best main event they've ever seen on a show in the history of them watching wrestling. I don't know personally if I would take it that far, but I would say it's way, way up there. Let's start this out. The War Raiders defeated Aleister Black and Ricochet, 21 minutes, slam-banging match, back and forth for the NXT Tag Team Championships. You cannot go wrong with these four guys in the ring. I didn't think the tag match would open up the show. It did. I was very satisfied with this. Interesting to see the War Raiders keep them in. Aleister Black and Ricochet, I'll do a little foreshadowing here right now, did not pick up a win on either big show this weekend, which I thought they might pick up one. Rich, good match. I know you definitely enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Even before going into this match in particular, just want to make a blanket statement. What a great weekend of wrestling. Like,
oh, my God, right?
As much as we all have things we don't like about WWE at times, through and through, great weekend of wrestling. Blew my expectations away.
Right.
Tag team match, one of the best matches of the weekend, I think, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, just four guys just go. I mean, Aleister Black and Ricochet all weekend just putting on a show. And it was just a great tag match. It was one of the best tag matches I've seen in a while, I think.
Yep.
War Raiders, big man just throw each other around.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're a pretty good total package for a big man tag team. Ricochet with the power slam.
Right?
Of all the stuff he did all weekend, that's one of the craziest things he did. I just did not see that happening. So yeah,
it does not look like he can do that.
War Raiders look so dominant right now too. As much as I know, like Undisputed Era is around, is going to be a thorn in their side. They just look like I can't really picture anyone beating them right now. That's how great of a show I think they put on Friday night. Yeah. So just a great way to start the weekend.
No, listen, you are right. This Friday until the end of tonight was really, and don't get me wrong, there's stuff that we can critique, no question about it, but really overall, you had to be a happy WWE NXT fan from Friday until now. These past 5 days, just really, really good, really enjoyable. And I had that kind of that middle of the emotion feeling yesterday, basically sitting here recovering from Mania, doing my Monday off afterwards, where I'm just, rewatching the show and taking it all in on TV with commentary and all of that. And I'm saying to myself, my God, I am so high on the greatness of what we just experienced the past couple of days between NXT and WrestleMania, and here we go now into Monday night coming up in a couple of hours. This was me thinking yesterday, and I'm saying to myself, this is where we've had the biggest problems in WWE in the past at least 2 years, and you could bring problems back even further than that. But I think it's been really showing up as a prominent big issue in the company and the fan enjoyment for Raw and SmackDown over the past 2 years, probably. And especially the calendar year of 2018 will always go down for me as just being a very, very bad year of TV, weekly TV. So, you're high off of NXT, you're high off of WrestleMania. You're saying, oh my God. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to talk in depth about the show with you. I've been to 7 WrestleManias live, and I think that I can honestly say that was the best one I've ever been to.
Really?
Yeah, and
best one.
Yeah, and we'll go through that when we talk about WrestleMania. But I'm sitting there waiting for Raw and SmackDown. I'm saying this is the point right now where I am so happy over the last 2 days, and they now have the chance to mess that up like they usually do and just bring me right back down to reality. Now we're going to get into Raw and SmackDown and talk about how that went, but overall, I'll say that it stayed positive. Like, it wasn't perfect. There's definitely things we have to talk about, but overall, I'd say it stayed positive. But Friday and Sunday night, just absolutely insane with NXT and WrestleMania. And Rich, I know you definitely enjoyed this one. Velveteen Dream defeating Matt Riddle to keep his NXT North American Championship. Another great match. I mean, what wasn't great about this card? I mean, every match we can just sit here and say amazing.
I was saying to you the other day, it's just NXT takeovers are just so consistent through and through. Every match, top to bottom of the card, always at least a very good match. So, and this match is just another example of that. Velveteen Dream, I know he's going to be on NXT for a little bit longer, but he needs to be on the main roster yesterday because he's got superstar potential through and through. And just great. I hope he keeps the belt for a while. Matt Riddle, I mean, I'm a big fan. You know that. I think this was a good match of him really kind of showing out of what he can do. Just wrestling-wise, it was a really good wrestling match. So, again.
I like the finish, too. I thought that was really good.
I love a different finish, and it was just special enough on their own. Just two different styles really working well together, too. But again, 2 for 2 on the night. Also,
and Matt Riddle getting some heat from the crowd, by the way, and they were definitely more behind Velveteen Dream. And Matt Riddle is still earning his stripes with me. I'm not saying I think he's bad or anything, but just I didn't know him before I saw him in NXT, and I'm getting to know him match by match. And so far, he's absolutely impressed me. I'm kind of waiting for that big, oh my God, it moment where you say, wow, okay, he's just amazing. And don't get me wrong, he's had some great matches so far, including this one. This was by far his best so far on the NXT show since he's been in NXT. But, I'm waiting for a little bit more, and maybe he'll get that with another performer. But they could, literally turn him heel full-fledged if they needed to. But, Velveteen Dream also kind of crosses that line back and forth. So that match. I was worried about the dynamic of what you would do with those two as far as booking, but they pulled it off very, very well, and I was happy.
Yeah, I prefer actually Velveteen Dream when he dips into more of a heel character in some angles. I don't know, just him being kind of a bad guy, just being a heel with that character. I like the way it works. So, but I think Riddle can work as a heel too. I mean, surfer dude, easily hateable.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I think it's again in a good direction.
There's something about like the squinty-eyed, stoned-out,
burnout guy,
dude that just kind of annoys me. It always has, and like he's definitely playing hacky sack in the garage of the arena. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Wears a lot of Hollister.
Right. I'm not into it, but you know what? He's amazing in the ring, and I can't wait to see more out of him. Rich, I know you are going to have some good discussion on this one because your boy Walter defeated Pete Dunne for the NXT United Kingdom Championship, and this match was fantastic at 25 minutes and change. An absolute beat down of a physical match between Pete Dunne and Walter. Pete Dunne held the championship for over 600 days. If I'm not mistaken, I think they said somewhere around 670 days. And that came to an end Friday night when Walter won the championship. And surprisingly, we did not get Pete Dunne brought up to the roster tonight or last night.
I love it. Throwback kind of match. Like, definitely older style type of match. Walter wrestles that big man, like Andre-esque, I dare say, style so well. I'm a big Pete Dunne fan, so I was sad to see him lose. I'm wondering, does he not go to the main roster right away? Does he show up on NXT? Does he become an NXT performer first and then go to the main roster? I think he's ready for the main roster, but
they can have him do some rematch work with Walter. I mean, you could get definitely another huge match out of this.
Oh, definitely. And as far as Walter goes, I mean, I'm not too familiar with NXT UK other than the one or two pay-per-views I saw of theirs. But I'm wondering who's going to challenge him after that. Like, that's a pretty wide open situation there.
It is.
It's a good way. It's a good way to bring another guy to the forefront from everything going on there. So again, kind of went as planned. I kind of expected Walter to win. They both love such a monster.
The style is just such gritty, realistic, downright dirty fighting and brawling. Like, they really have such an art to it to make it look real, like to really make you feel the pain and the power of what they're doing. And I really like that style.
Dunne, when he does the stuff with the knuckles and everything, I'm sorry, pardon my French, but I think it's amazing. I really do think it's just different. And those are the little things that make wrestling awesome to me.
Yeah, no, it's just really, really good match.
Right.
Then they had the four-way with the women after that. Shayna Baszler kept the championship, defeated Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane. 15 minutes and change for that one. Listen, this was going to be probably the weakest match on the card, and it still stood up and ended up being a great match. I really enjoyed it start to finish. I thought every girl in there was very, very good in this match, including Bianca Belair, who we've been very critical of on the show, and I'm not completely sold on her yet either. And JT, I know, is not a fan, but they set her up perfectly in that match to put up a couple of power spots in the right positions, and it just ended up being very, very good. Rich, my thought was a lot of people complained here, and you heard the boos from the crowd at the end of the match, that Shayna Baszler kept the title and did not pass it to somebody else. I think that's because they want to make somebody in more of a personal one-on-one setting, and this was kind of just to get a couple girls on the show and do a four-way and get another victory for Shayna going forward before she ends up passing that on to somebody in a more personal feud.
Yeah, my honest take is Shayna Baszler should keep the belt for as long as need be until someone else comes along that I can really buy into as being a champion. But right now, none of those girls that are on the NXT roster that I'm aware of can hold a candle to her, and that's why she should keep being the women's champion as long as need be. I agree with everything you said.
The two Asian girls in this match, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, are absolutely incredible in the ring. Like, I love their work.
Kairi Sane, again, great worker. Just Bianca, she's a great worker too, but to me, Shayna Baszler is heads and tails above them, and
she's got the it factor.
Yeah, and those other girls don't have anything close to that, so you got to keep the belt on her.
Yeah, I think Kairi and Io Shirai can. I really do. I can see it with them, but it's building towards it. You're right. It's not there yet, and Shayna's just dominant right now. And in a four-way like that, there's no reason for her to lose the title. It would be better in a more personal setting, like they've done, swapping back and forth with her and Kairi Sane in good one-on-one matches. And I don't know who it goes to next. We'll see, but we'll get there. But that was fine for me for the women's match the other night. I thought it fit very well with the rest of the card and kind of with whatever else happened in the other matches. Like, you needed that to be there and do exactly what they did. I thought that fit.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I think Bianca Belair will have her moment as NXT Women's Champion sooner probably than later, but I just think this weekend it just made more sense to keep her on Shayna Baszler until someone's a little bit more baked and ready to kind of step up and take that spot.
I agree. Bell to bell for the main event, 38 minutes and change. Johnny Gargano finally wins the NXT Championship, defeating Adam Cole in the 2 out of 3 falls match, 2 falls to 1. Rich, this was absolutely awesome. I have, since the very first time I ever saw Johnny Gargano fight, have just been in love with his style and the way he works and the pacing and his passion and everything that comes through the screen with him. And who the hell does not love Adam Cole? As soon as we knew this match was happening, we knew we had a great shot at one of the most amazing matches we've seen in a long time. And the rumor has it that tomorrow or whenever the Dave Meltzer ratings come out, this could be the very first WWE NXT match that Dave Meltzer goes over a 5-star rating for. He's only done it for New Japan matches so far. But the rumor has it is that he thinks that this was even better than the other Johnny Gargano matches that he gave 5 stars to, and that he may actually go over the 5 stars for this match, which would make it the highest rated match by Dave Meltzer in the history of him rating WWE or NXT. I don't know if that's Dave's opinion. I'm not going to say what I think there, because it's very hard when you're comparing greatness all around. It's kind of hard to pick a winner, because a lot of those matches we can talk about right now that have been that high are all interchangeable for any day of the week, depending upon your mood of what you want to watch as being maybe the best match ever. But my God, there's no denying that we were put in for a treat and an amazing show for that main event the other night.
Well, listen, I like Dave Meltzer about as much as I like Mike Francesa, so I don't really give a lot of credence to anything he says. And I think my whole one other time on here, I was pretty vocal about not being a big Johnny Gargano fan, but it's totally deserving of both those things. He put on a show. Adam Cole put on a show. As much as I don't agree with Dave Meltzer, it should get that credit. That was a fantastic, one-of-a-kind match that I think only those two guys could really put on. Like you said, the styles, just the tempo of everything.
Yep.
It was a wrestler's wrestling match.
This was an amazing NXT takeover, and some may say it was the best NXT event that ever took place. I mean, what was there to complain about start to finish, right?
Nothing at all. I really would find it hard to argue that.
I would too. I absolutely would too. No question. Rich, WrestleMania 35. Thank you to all of the fans who came over to us and said hi and took pictures with myself, John Alba, Joe Omega, and the crew. Thank you again to Rob Somer and Squared Circle Entertainment. Put on an amazing tailgate. We had so much fun. I got a nice tan, as you can see, is set in right now, just from being out there for a few hours. And we just had an absolute blast. If you ever see me live, anybody, just please come over and say hi. And if you want to grab a picture, please let me know you do. I have no problems with any of that. I'm actually very honored to even be asked that. I'm so happy that all of you watch our show and are entertained by that. And, really just, I'm absolutely humbled that you guys, so many fans came over. Shout out to Ash and his friend over from the UK coming to hang out with us. That was a blast. And I met a great couple from Delaware, another great guy. I think his name is Ryan. And just shout out to everybody there who we saw. Always great seeing my boy Wayne. I met Zachary finally. Oh my God, what a psycho. He was completely trashed. And we just had an absolute blast. And then we went in for the show. And by the way, I'm going to give you the good and the bad. Bad was some of the lighting for the night, and we'll talk about that when we get to Randy Orton. But you know what? It didn't bother me all night like it did in Orlando. They did adjust it, and there's going to be some changes going forward with what's going on right now with Orton. We'll get to that. But the good of the night, I have to give a shout out to WWE Guest Services. I got there. The pillar was kind of blocking our view of some of the ring. The salesman that I am said to, let's go get services and go talk to the people and just listen. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? You got to take a shot. So I went, I very cordially talked to one of the managers there, explained the situation, told him that we paid for tickets that weren't supposed to be obstructed. He hooked us up, and we ended up getting amazing seats dead on to the ring. And it was a little further away distance-wise, but we had nothing blocking us. I was happy. We had an amazing time. Listen, long event, 2 hours for the pre-show, 5.5 hours for the main show. But I got to tell you, Rich, I've been to WrestleMania 10, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, and now 35. And I think from start to finish, this was the best and most fulfilling show I've ever been to out of all of those WrestleManias.
So I myself have never experienced WrestleMania live, but I can certainly attest as someone who's watched a lot of WrestleManias from my couch that this is the best show that I can remember in like a long time. It was very long, 5 hours, right? It clocked in a little over 5 hours.
The main show was 5 hours and 24 minutes, not including the pre-show,
which is long.
Yeah,
but worth every minute of it. I enjoyed every minute of it. Great show, really.
Honestly, I think the East Coast has trouble with it because it goes so late. I think even if they went the same distance and they maybe started earlier in the day, it would be better for them. You could go on the same amount of hours, but we left the arena at 12:30 a.m. I mean, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah. You could. I think starting at 6 o'clock, the Super Bowl usually kicks off around
6:30.
6 o'clock, 6:30.
6:30, yeah.
6 o'clock, perfect time.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm a wrestling fan. I was going to stay up no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm happy. I don't regret it.
Yep. I agree. I had a blast, and we'll run through it. Basically the two battle royals, Rich, we got Braun Strowman doing what we thought he was going to do in the men's battle royal. Obviously got rid of the SNL guys. I hated all that. But you know what? Overall, a good battle royal with a lot of good people in there, by the way. So I thought it was pretty good. Hometown boys, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder defeated the Revival to win the tag team championships for Raw. Good little match, by the way.
Oh, I'm so mad about that one.
Yeah, you don't like them winning there?
No, I don't. I know Long Island, Strong Island, all that good stuff,
yep.
But the Revival just get the short end of the stick over and over again. I mean,
listen, I'm just at this point with the way they've been treated. I'm happy they got a title match at WrestleMania to begin with. I mean, thank God for that.
You're right. You're 100% right. But we're talking about tag teams before. These guys are a real tag team.
Elite.
A real tag team like that. They couldn't they have to coexist. They couldn't wrestle on their own and be successful. They're a real tag team. They work well together. And I just think they get hosed over and over again.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you that they are amazing. Oh, and I'm typing something to the chat room here. I need a little help from my friends.
No problem.
Tony Nese defeated Buddy Murphy in the Cruiserweight Championship match, 11-minute match. Another hometown guy who took home the gold. They gave it to a lot of hometown people. A lot of people are going to say, oh, Carmella was hometown. Well, Carmella won the Women's Battle Royal. Congrats to her. She's really from Massachusetts. She's not really from Jersey or Staten Island. So, and by the way, thank you for the chat room. I'm horrible with the Revival. I'll admit it. I always confuse which one is which, by the way. And I want to give a shout out. The hero. There's two heroes of the week for me right now.
Okay.
The first one we're giving out the award for hero of the week is Dash Wilder for punching the Bret Hart attacker on Saturday. Okay, that's my first hero of the week. I love Bret Hart. I can actually say the word love. He is an absolute treasure and hero of my life and my childhood. He's the only person I ever let sign my Winged Eagle belt replica. I love the man to death. What happened to him Saturday night, let me tell you something. I was pacing back and forth for that whole night after that. I just couldn't, my mind could not get away from that moment when Brett and Natalya got taken down by some crazed psychopath, by the way, who is now, from what I heard, there's like a balloon, by the way, floating around in here from the baby. It just keeps attacking me. Okay. Weird things going on in the studio tonight, but there's this crazed psycho apparently stalked somebody in the UFC also. And he runs up to the stage, to the ring, and attacks Brett, takes down Natalya too. There's a pile-on. By the way, Shane McMahon and Ronda Rousey's husband got there quicker than anybody else did. And just by the time Harry Smith got in the ring, it was on. He was pounding him. Ronda's husband was pounding this guy. Maria Menouno's husband and Mark Carrano, the guy from you always see on Total Divas, they were all over him. And then Dash Wilder grabbed him in the headlock and dragged him down the aisleway and just absolutely nailed this guy with a shot that dropped him and almost a whole pile with him. And just, my Lord, I mean, he got whipped and it was everything he deserved. And it was just, I'm sorry, I was so ashamed of just bad wrestling fans in general. Like, and I get that most of those people wouldn't run into an event, but just to think that there's somebody that's part of our community of wrestling fans that would do anything like that, Rich, it just, oh my God, I was fuming all night, especially Bret Hart. I mean, the man survived cancer, a stroke. He's had so many horrible things happen to him throughout his whole life. And just how do you do that? It's just an absolute monster.
I wish Dash Wilder was able to get a good 60 seconds with him just to lace into him for a minute. Because, like you said, of all the people go after Bret Hart during his Hall of Fame speech, I don't even want to talk about it. For people like this, I don't even want to give them any more attention.
Yeah.
You know what to say, though? It was not a good weekend for wrestling security. This week, actually. Raw women break police cars. You have Enzo and Big Cass invade Ring of Honor.
That's a work, by the way.
I know, but for those who don't think it's a work,
no, it's a work, and it's confirmed it's work because Ring of Honor started retweeting their stuff immediately after it happened. So
I understand that completely, but for anyone out there who thought it wasn't a work for even a millisecond, you gotta take a step back because there's no way security will let someone jump over the barrier and do that. So,
well, here's the thing. I mean, look what happened.
Happy it's
when the guy jumped in with Bret. If somebody legitimately jumps in that's not supposed to be there, everybody, including security and the workers, pile on and get that guy to the ground. And it's nobody's moving. They're not allowing any movement. They're not allowing anybody to get up. They are just down and wrapped and just it's over with at that point. You know, Enzo. I see the first video I see is Enzo face to face squaring off with Bully Ray, and I'm like, this is BS. Like, there's no way this is a shoot because right now they're squaring off. I'm seeing work punches. If he really jumped the rail, you know, even if security missed him, the workers would have had him down, wrapping his arm around his head, twisting him into a pretzel, and not letting go until they got him out of there with security. So I just knew that was a work. But anyway, you know, kudos to them. They made some buzz with that. And it was big headlines all over the place. Saturday night was a wild night for wrestling, for a night that, you know, with the Hall of Fame, which is more tame, and the G1, which I'm not so interested in, by the way. And from what I heard from some people who thought it was going to be a great show, it was kind of okay. It wasn't like amazing. Right. But, you know, listen, they packed the garden. Good for them. Hopefully good things come from it. We'll see. But, yeah, that was the WrestleMania pre-show. And, Rich, I got to tell you, buddy, what a hot start to the main show of WrestleMania. I mean, we got the immortal Hulk Hogan
at the MetLife Center.
Immediately into Brock Lesnar dropping the Universal Championship to Seth Rollins in the opening match. I absolutely loved Paul Heyman's reasoning for storming out there and basically saying, if we're not on last, we're getting this over with right now. We're not waiting around here all night. I thought it was genius. Apparently, by the way, 2 years in a row, I predicted the first match of the show, and it ended up being the second match of the show. Happened to me 2 years straight. And apparently, up until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon of that day, Styles versus Orton was supposed to be the first match of the show, and they called an audible. And I got to tell you, on paper, if you weren't going to do something insane like this, then Styles Orton was the logical choice to open the show. But you went out swinging hard and brought something crazy to the table for your opener. And between seeing, you know, the original god of WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan, and then going into that match, Rich, this was maybe the hottest opening 30 minutes of WrestleMania we have ever experienced.
I mean, I can't think. Name me a hotter 30 minutes in WrestleMania to open up.
The only thing I could ever think of would be Brett versus Owen at 10. Okay. And when you had your interview segment at WrestleMania 30 with Hogan, Rock, Austin, and that went into Triple H versus Daniel Bryan. That's your only competition, if you ask me.
And I agree in this competition, but I think this beats out those other two matches, segments rather. But first of all, I have to say, seeing Hulk Hogan come out will never not be awesome to me. Just like you're a huge Bret guy, Hogan was like iconic to me growing up, so that's always going to be awesome to me.
Well, it'll be iconic to all of us.
Oh yeah, of course. But the opening match, I loved everything about it, down to literally. It was one of if I'm picking the best matches of the weekend, I don't necessarily make it one of the best ones, but it was one of my favorite matches.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying?
No. By the way, and just to blow your mind while you're doing some analysis, bell to bell, it was only 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
And it was one of the best matches of the weekend.
Yep. Well, that's because they did it right. I mean, Brock attacked Seth, destroyed him all along the outside of the ring, and that wasn't even actually counted during the match. They hadn't even rung the bell the whole time. And then they do, and he gets a couple suplexes in, and then Seth reverses him, hits the low blow, gets the 3 curb stomps. We've got a new champ. Crowd is going crazy. Rollins is spinning the belt over his head on the stage again, just like 31. I mean, this was awesome. I mean, yes, not the greatest technical match ever, not the best match bell to bell in the ring that you could have put on between Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. We could have gotten a much better match. But you know what? If you're going to book it like that, I thought this came off absolutely perfect. The bigger man went out, jumped him, destroyed him using tables and objects and everything else. Then the bell rang, and Seth got a quick win over him by turning the tables. I thought it was awesome.
Not every match doesn't have to be a clinic
for
45 minutes.
Right.
A great match could be 10 minutes, or in this case, like you said, 2 minutes and change bell to bell. It was just perfectly done. And like I said, you want to rank matches, it's fine. It was, to me, one of the most fun matches I can remember. And to open up, I think a big reason why Mania was so good was because it was such a explosion to open up with that it kind of just kept the momentum going.
It's absolutely one of the highlights and the top things that I will always tell you from that night. No question about it. It's not, like you said, it's no clinic, but neither was Goldberg versus Lesnar 2 years ago in Orlando, and that'll always be memorable. And I think Meltzer or Brian Alvarez called it the greatest 10-minute car crash we couldn't take our eyes off of at WrestleMania ever, because it just was nonstop power move, special move, signature move over and over, and just hitting it hard the whole way. But it was exactly what you needed with those two guys, and it ended up being a great match if you go back and look at it. But it's not, it's not what Bryan and Kofi did later on. It's completely different.
Yes. One last thing about this. Shout out to the people who designed the Titantron and the entranceway. Titantron was, I don't know how it was live, but on TV, it definitely added to the spectacle that is WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Nothing special, but just was huge. It was just awesome. It made the entrance really feel
something
special.
that originally looked so bland because it didn't have anything extra to it.
Yes, exactly.
The size of the screen and what they did just ended up making it look really cool, to tell you the truth.
Like Seth's entrance, I thought was awesome.
Very.
Just on a big-ass screen.
Yep.
So, yeah, an amazing way to open up.
Then we went into what I thought was going to be the opener, what was the planned opener, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. AJ Styles wins. I was wrong. I thought Orton would definitely win this one to kick the feud off. 16 minutes and change. Unfortunately, the live crowd could not appreciate this one, and that is why I'm going to hand the second trophy for Hero of the Week to Randy Orton for his ongoing campaign of the lights blinding the fans and basically ruining his WrestleMania match that him and AJ worked so hard for. Big news out of this. Number one, Randy Orton is constantly tweeting and showing pictures and videos about this light. He did it again tonight on SmackDown tonight as he's walking out of the arena. He literally went up to the stage and literally mouthed the words, "Oh my God, I can't see, turn off the light." Okay, so basically he was mocking it. Then he posted a video, my match versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania, and it was a video of us chanting, "Turn the lights off," and a huge light in somebody's face. So this is a problem that if you've been a Wrestle Reaction fan for at least the last 2 years, I've talked about over and over again. It literally ruined my whole experience in Orlando at WrestleMania. And I really hope now that such a big star, and this is getting such big publicity now in the company and what he's doing, I hope they will realize that they are literally ruining big events for fans, and it's got to stop. And the second note from here, which is a big note, who had to cancel an appearance and who had to cancel being on SmackDown tonight. He went home for rehab. AJ Styles got injured in this match. We don't exactly know how, but you can see at the end of the match, he is in severe pain. He jumps down from posing off the middle turnbuckle, grabbing his back, kind of looked like maybe a little sciatica type thing going down to his thigh also. And he was wincing really, really hard. And he is banged up. They're saying there's some type of injury here, or maybe he just needs a good rest because he is hurting really, really bad. Rich, if you go back and watch it on TV, you did. I got to see it yesterday when I watched it over. This was exactly what I thought we'd get from these two. I mean, you can't miss with Orton versus Styles. These two are amazing.
First of all, I really hope AJ Styles doesn't need a backiotomy or anything, because that would be awful. He's such a great competitor. But again, it's just one of those matches. It just fit perfectly into the card. It wasn't, an Iron Man match or anything like that. But I thought it was a good match. As a second match following a huge title change. Two great wrestlers, fans very involved. I don't know. I know we're going to get to SmackDown and stuff later on. I don't know what they're doing with Randy Orton, but I like it, and I kind of wish he would have won the match, like you said.
Yeah,
I think Mania is, an event for big spots, and a big RKO coming, out of a reversal to the big forearm or something like that would have been a great moment, which I think was kind of wasted, but. I think, Randy Orton's going to be in that upper card for a long time anyway, so it doesn't really matter in the long run.
My thought was that, this is the first big match they're having, and I think you can get a feud out of these two. This isn't a one-off, and I figured, give the momentum to the heel and let it keep going like that, but they gave it to AJ. No problem. It worked out fine also, and got a good match out of it, so that's okay. I know you enjoyed the next match because you said it was one of your favorite of the whole weekend. And it was the Usos defeating Aleister Black and Ricochet, Rusev and Nakamura, and The Bar. Take it away, Rich. I didn't get to enjoy it much live because there was still some adjustment going on with the lights. But watching it back, I fully understood why you enjoyed this. There's just, if you look at that, there are just 8 great workers in that ring for this match.
Yeah, it comes out pretty much for the weekend. This great booking, it wasn't massive spots everywhere. Just everyone did what they were best at to the best of their ability, and they just all nailed it. I mean, I think a lot of it's just when you wrestle someone so many times, Usos and The Bar, for example, you just work so well together. You do so many times, it becomes almost like second nature. And the whole thing was booked perfectly. Tandem moves. I mean, I love tag team wrestling, and this was a great tag team wrestling match. It was great tag team wrestling all weekend. I know we're going to talk about the women's tag match, but that was great tag team wrestling also.
Yeah.
So it was just – I'm happy the Usos win. I don't know if we're going to get into anything spoilerish, and we talk about SmackDown.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it.
So that was unfortunate. But anyway, it was a great match.
I expected them to win. I was a little surprised that Black and Ricochet didn't pick up a victory between the two big shows, but they still looked great on both. There's no doubt about that.
So can we talk about this for a second?
Yeah.
I was going to bring it up before. What goes on ultimately with Aleister Black and Ricochet? They're both fantastic wrestlers. They're showing to be a good tag team also, a really good one. But to me, they're really individual singles competitors. And I think it's great that they're getting a lot of exposure. I mean, they're wrestling every other day, it feels like. But what's the end game here? I
think this is a major possibility right here. So, you could tell by the way they showed them at the end of the TakeOver match that it was kind of their goodbye for NXT. And they've been, basically labeling them as NXT stars every time they're featured by even showing the NXT logo when they come out. They're not really affiliated with a brand. They've been working everywhere. But next week is the brand draft, basically, or whatever the hell you want to call it, the swap or whatever it is.
Superstar shakeup?
Yeah, superstar shakeup. Thank you. It wasn't coming to my brain. And, this may be the opportunity for them to actually place both of them on separate shows and maybe just break them up as a tag team and let them go singles. And you don't have to do any kind of big blow up with them to do it. You keep them both babyface. You put them both on separate shows. If I had to pick right now, I'd probably put Ricochet on SmackDown and Aleister Black on Raw.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I bring it up because, and I know you are too, big fans of both of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I honestly see them as potential world champions somewhere down the line. Not right now, but
you see Black for sure.
I've always said Black
behind Ricochet, but he's awesome.
I mean, Aleister Black I think is pretty obvious, but Ricochet, when he came from the Indies, I didn't know what to expect, but he's really just exceeded all my expectations. I think he's just that good of a draw in the ring that I wouldn't be shocked if it ever happened.
In what I thought was the most difficult match to place on the card for WrestleMania, and there he is in all of his glory, his glorious glory. I've been waiting for this moment forever. There is the hotel bathrobe. It is JT Pruitt live on Wrestle Reaction. Finally, the bathrobe.
What's causing all this? Frank,
JT,
Jimmy,
welcome to the show.
What is going on? I'm going to go ahead and preface this. I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, so if this doesn't work out accordingly, it doesn't work out, but I am here in the bathrobe, ready to roll. Wrestle Reaction on the air the Tuesday after WrestleMania.
Biggest show of the year, baby. I'm glad you're on
Biggest show of the year. Biggest first 4 hours of the show of the year. 4 hours. We all agree 4 hours is great. The last hour and a half, not so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not so much. Friday NXT.
We're going through it, my friend. So we went through. And I'll get back to the WrestleMania card, but JT is here, and I want to get his quick thoughts. JT, fire away. NXT Takeover New York. I know you loved it. Tell me about it. What sticks out to you? Your opinions. Give it to us, brother.
Top to bottom.
Go ahead. Whatever.
One of the best wrestling shows I have ever seen in my life. Ever. Top to bottom. Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, baby. Amazing show or amazing match. Look, the first two falls, it took a minute to get into it, but they knew what they were doing. They did a great job with it. The last 25 minutes of that match was incredible. To me, just because I'm a mark for the tag teams, I still think the tag team match was probably my favorite match on the card.
Wow. But
Adam Cole and Gargano I've watched it 3 times, and it gets better every single time. Both of them just crushed. Dream and Riddle was really good as well. It wasn't great, but it was what it needed to be. The women's match for me was probably the worst match on the card. And when I say worst match, it just wasn't my favorite match on the card. Let's just put it that way. Pete Dunne and Walter was a great match as well. What sucks for NXT specifically is the first match and the last match were so great. Can Rich? Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know why Rich can. That's interesting.
Rich.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I can see him, but I just can't hear him.
All right, keep going, JT. It's okay. The audience can hear you.
That's all that matters.
The rest of the card to me was it put everybody else in a bad spot because the tag match and the main event were so good that everything else kind of fell by the wayside. But overall, I thought the show was absolutely incredible all the way down. It was amazing. Amazing.
Great show. Great night for wrestling. No question about it. We started running through WrestleMania. We just went through the pre-show, Rollins versus Lesnar, Styles versus Orton, and then the Usos tag match. Your thoughts on those, JT?
So real quick, I thought that Seth and Brock was exactly what it needed to be, and it's funny. You guys were there. It was what it was. I said in the chat that, of course, Brock didn't want to wait around because Brock doesn't wait around. They absolutely changed it because Brock probably bitched. He probably complained. Sorry, Frank. He probably complained, and they had to change it, it is what it is. Styles and Orton. So my thought on the first 3 matches altogether, I wish they were longer. That's my only thought. I thought all of them were great. I just wish they were longer. I loved the tag match. I thought it was well put together. Kind of shocking that Ricochet and Black didn't win at some point this weekend. So that was a little weird. But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was all good. All
I
good.
agree completely. Rich and I said that maybe it was the hottest start in WrestleMania history.
100%.
I mean, Hulkamania, and then just straight into Heyman and Brock Lesnar and Rollins, and a huge win for Seth Rollins. That place was pumping for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, I very, very, very hot start. Very hot start.
Loved it. We're going into right now the 8th match on the show overall, including the pre-show. This was the hardest show for me to place when I made my match card.
Yep.
It was Shane McMahon defeating The Miz in a Falls Count Anywhere match. 15 and a half minutes for this one. This was much better than I ever expected this to come off at WrestleMania. I really thought this may come off not so well, drag out. The crowd might not be into it. This was really good. They did the spots when they were supposed to. They finished with a big spot, and Shane McMahon got the win. Rich, what'd you think here? I was pleased because I thought this match could have been definitely really bad with crowd reaction and maybe people not seeing certain angles live in the arena, and I just thought it actually came off really good.
Yeah, because you worry about being a spot fest, so someone is laying there while someone's putting 3 tables on top of each other or something like that. And instead, what we got was just a nicely planned out Falls Count Anywhere match with a couple of nice big spots.
Yeah.
I like the finish. I thought the finish was really good. I thought it was, again, a couple of surprise finishes, some good, some not so good this weekend.
Right.
And this was one of the good ones. Shane's going to do something big. I liked a little bit of comedy with Mrs. Dad being involved in there. It really made Shane look like a real, jerk. But, again, good match, told a story. They could still go – they have to go forward with it. There has to be at least one more match, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be another fun stipulation in it. So it was good. Good moving the story between them forward. Good
placement on the card for it also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of a, cool down kind of match, but still gave you a couple of big spots. So it was nice. Perfect setup.
Yeah, I echo Rich 100%. I think it was great. I didn't mind the Rich, he muted.
Yeah, he muted me before too. Rich, you muting us?
No, I'm trying to fix the volume, but I'm still not fussing with it.
You keep muting me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I thought the match was great. Comedy aside, the finish was what it was. I did not mind the finish, especially because we know that we're getting more matches out of this.
Sure.
I thought it was pretty creative, a creative finish. It was something different. I mean, we all knew at some point Shane was going to jump off of something, and it was different. I had no problems with it whatsoever.
How about this? I think every one of us would have bet that Sasha and Bayley were keeping the tag titles in this next match. And in 10 minutes and change, the Iconics became the new women's tag team champions. I got to tell you,
gross.
They're not great in the ring. I will agree with that, but I don't think they suck. I think they're annoying, and I think they're annoying for the good of their character, and it's entertaining. And Maria, my wife, thinks so also. And I think that this was not a bad thing. I hope that they're doing something good with Sasha and Bayley, maybe singles. Now that they have the belts off of them, we can hope and pray. And it was just, I thought it was a really amazing moment to see the two girls break down like that when they won the belt, to see how much they love the business. I'm kind of a sucker for that, JT.
I agree with you. I agree with you on the moment. I thought the moment was great, but they suck. By the way, did you hear how loud that place popped for them? Yes, it came across that way on television, and I don't get it. I just the screaming throughout the match absolutely drove me insane. I even commented in our chat like, that is weird. Weird. I just don't like it whatsoever.
Rich, what'd you think about the Iconics getting their moment at WrestleMania?
Say that again.
What'd you think about the Iconics getting their moment at WrestleMania, winning the tag titles?
It was great. I had my money on the Wild Samoets winning the tag belts, to be honest with you. I figured putting them on a heel tag team would make sense, but I liked being surprised. Like you said, I'm a sucker for it too. the lines are blurred and we get a little bit of reality in wrestling. So I thought that was a cool thing to see. And unexpected, like I said, so we'll see where they take it. This initial match they had on SmackDown, I thought was a good way to take it as a heel team. So, again, just a good match, good spot, well booked.
All right. Yeah, this was something that, I watched the girls' entrances because I like a lot of these girls, and obviously I have a soft spot for Sasha, and then I hightailed it up to take my last bathroom break of the night and got back and watched the last 2 minutes, and I went and watched this back at home on TV yesterday, and I thought it came off really good, to tell you the truth, for 4 teams. Listen, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a good match where it was placed too, and it was a little bit of a cool down to go into the biggest and best match of the entire night. Kofi Mania. 23 minutes and 45 seconds, your new WWE champion. This was absolutely amazing. Awesome. We were jumping up and down, going crazy with the New Day and everybody there. This was one of the most organic, amazing reactions I've ever experienced live. I'm telling you right now, this was as amazing as Daniel Bryan winning at the end of WrestleMania 30. And I was there live for both. It was insane. And you miss some of the emotion when you're there live because you're getting it more in your face when you watch on TV. I watched it back yesterday. I had absolute tears in my eyes with Xavier Woods just bawling, crying the whole time. And just, it was unreal. This match was best match on the card, easily rewatchable over and over and over again in WrestleMania history. What a moment. What a match. You can't miss with Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston being in the ring together. Absolutely awesome. Thank you, Vince and WWE, for doing this, because I would have never have bet that this would have happened. But Kofi Kingston is the WWE champion. He won the Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Warrior, Macho Man, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin belt, Undertaker belt at WrestleMania. I mean, just, unbelievable to even think that. And it was just one of the best WrestleMania moments I've ever experienced. And live, just absolutely crazy. Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said as far as everything about the match. Kofi, Daniel Bryan, two people have put their time in wrestling and having this moment together. It was what you expected, and it still was amazing. Kofi getting the belt. It was a great match the way it was booked.
Yeah.
I love really the fact that, Rowan had his little spot, but it wasn't anything too big. Daniel Bryan, man, who I never really would have thought he'd been such an amazing heel. I almost don't want to see him go back to ever being a face, because
totally agree.
This is perfect. It's perfect, and it's got such legs that he could just keep doing it forever and ever as long as he wants to wrestle.
Totally agree.
And he'll get the belt again. He's going to be in the main event. He'll be in Money in the Bank, I'm sure. So it was just a big moment, well deserved by Kofi. I mean, talk about people who have had a lot of moments in WWE. I mean, in the last however many years, he's going to have, more than most people. So he's deserving of it. And I'm curious and excited to see what they do with him with the belt. I mean, I don't know how far we're getting predictions here, but I'd love to see the New Day feud very much the way the Shield has feuded over titles before. I think it'll be a fun angle to go with to test those waters, see those guys as, singles wrestlers. So I'm excited for Kofi. I'm excited for what can now be done with that belt, angles, SmackDown moving on to Fox, having, him being the champion is going to be a cool thing. So,
Jay Tizzle, Kofi Mania, baby.
Loved it. So I tweeted this out immediately after it happened. I had a smile from ear to ear the moment the moment the ref hit 3. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. What a great, genuine reaction from Kofi, from Big E, from Woods, just weeping like a baby. The best part of the night was Kofi's kid climbing the ropes, holding the belt over his head, and Kofi's reaction. And it was just
natural. He threw a shirt to the crowd. It was awesome.
It was so good. Just such a feel-good moment. The match was great. the spot with Rowan and the New Day was absolutely incredible. And it just was such a great feel-good moment that it rivals any WrestleMania moment that we've had. You know, going back to Daniel Bryan, Shawn Michaels, like it rivals any of that. And again, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy who has worked his tail off for 11 years, never complained, doesn't look like the typical world champion, and that is completely okay in this world of WWE that we live in. I just super happy for him, super happy for the New Day. The reactions from all the other boys, and for example, there's a video of Shad Gaspar and MVP circling, and they just broke down crying, and it was just an amazing WrestleMania moment that we will be talking about forever. This is one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. Period.
Yep. It's not on the match card that I'm looking at, but I want to bring it up now before we forget to talk about it. Thugonomics John Cena returning to rap at Elias, who had his musical performance. This was an amazing surprise. It got a huge reaction from the crowd. We hung on every word that Cena said, and this is the John Cena that we all made into the superstar that we wanted him to be, and then they completely pulled back on it and gave us PG John Cena, and the fans turned. That's the reason why. This John Cena is everything we always loved about John Cena when he first came in. This was another amazing WrestleMania moment. Rich? GT?
Yep. Yeah, basic Thugonomics, baby. All day long, great moment, great Mania moment. I popped so hard when I heard the music. Like that first bass line hit, and I jumped up in my seat, like, oh my God, this is happening. My wife sitting next to me was like, what is this? And then she saw John Cena and was like, I don't get it. She didn't watch back then. And I was like, look, just wait, because it gets great. And it was such a great segment. To me, I'm going to go back to what I've been saying for weeks. This Elias gimmick, as good as it is, has run its course. There needs to be something else. There needs to be a next level to that gimmick. But this was a perfect segment to cool the crowd down, but also to keep them pretty hot. It gives them a break. But that John Cena music, man, that did it for me. Loved it.
Rich?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Elias, it's funny, but he has to – I feel like he never wrestles. I feel like he just gets beat up and smashed in the ring with guitars when he plays a song for a minute. And don't get me wrong, I think he's awesome at that.
Agreed.
But, I mean, again, this is wrestling. I want to see him do something. I think he can do it. The little bit I've seen him wrestle on Raw, it's been good. But having said that, like you nailed it. It was a cool down segment, but it was still so important that it still kept you kind of hot.
Yep.
It's kind of like the comedic break. It's perfect. Comedic timing is important, and Cena just has a knack for it in wrestling. The whole thing was great. I mean, going heel. I mean, everyone heard it, but it had so many good punchlines in it. So again, it was just a perfect segment for its time in Mania. And
it was the perfect time in the show to do it.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
They really mostly laid out the show beautiful. I mean, I have my problems coming up. We'll talk about, but
we'll get deeper into the card, and
we're getting there. The next thing, and we don't need to do a full panel on it because this was quick. Samoa Joe kept his United States Championship, defeated Rey Mysterio, 1 minute bell to bell. We all know the story here. Rey hurt his ankle Monday night. He obviously took it like a man, probably took a shot of cortisone, went out there, did a couple of spins and a couple of moves, and then Joe just literally locked him in the chokehold and made him pass out. This was perfect for some, number one, shout out to Rey for doing that and still going out there and getting the job done. And honestly, this worked out perfect. Rey still got to perform, and he ended up going out there and giving us what we all wanted to see from Joe on a big stage. Samoa Joe got a dominant moment on a big stage, choking out a wrestling legend and defeating him in 1 minute. That was perfect for the shortest match of the night. Absolutely perfect. And it finally gave somebody a moment that we've all been waiting to actually give a moment to. So we'll just run through that quickly. But after that, here's where we started having problems for the night. Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre in 10 minutes. Ooh. This match it's not bad by any means, but it's really just kind of there. JT?
Yep. Positioned at the wrong time in the card. I might have skipped there, but it was positioned at the wrong time in the card. Honestly, I can't tell you anything memorable from that match because I was starting to fade at that point in time. Yeah. I've watched it back. It's, again, like you said, Frank, not bad. It's a raw match.
It's a raw match. 100%.
It's a raw match, and that's okay, but not for WrestleMania.
Right.
And sucks because two guys that I really enjoy. I love Drew McIntyre, and I think Roman is in this unique position now with him coming back. And where do we go from here? He wasn't on Raw last night, which is perfect because Barclays probably would have ate him up. But overall, like it was just there. There's not really any cool, a star and a half maybe.
Yeah, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now is Roman Reigns. He's supposed to be this, a badass. He's being booked as the underdog, and it doesn't befit his character. He's supposed to be the big dog, and I just like to lead it to the match. It wasn't really neither of their faults. They're both great wrestlers. I think McIntyre's been on a tear, but it just was.
Yep.
Just didn't hit the mark.
The biggest thing we could take away from this match is that McIntyre was important enough to get a custom entrance, and that's a good sign for him going forward.
I
completely agree.
Yep, that is a good thing. After that, let's see. Is this literally the longest of the night? That's the problem here. Bell to bell, 24 minutes and 45 seconds for Triple H and Batista. This right here is a lesson to everybody in the business that if you are going to go long, over 20 minutes for a match, you cannot do power moves and weapons and tables this early on and this kind of heavy selling early on. It just made the match drag so much. If they would have mixed it up a little bit in the ring and gone back and forth and did a little bit of wrestling before it even went there and had a good pace to it, you could have then went into those spots, kind of like Triple H did in a lot of his matches with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, kind of pacing like that. But again, these are the same comments I made 3 years ago when Triple H and Roman Reigns main evented in Dallas at WrestleMania 32. The pacing was completely off. They sold way too early. It destroyed the whole kind of flow and interest and excitement of the match, and the crowd just had a really hard time getting into it because every time something happened, somebody was crawling around on the ground again and not able to stand. It was just way too early. So, this was – I'm not going to say it was bad, but it wasn't anything great, and it's kind of just there, and it was way too long. I mean, just 25 minutes is just insane for something that you're going to book like this. It's kind of disappointing, but you know what? The big news here is that Batista came out and officially retired online, gave some great comments online saying how much he appreciated and loved Triple H and always wanted to do his last match with him. And, it is what it is. Batista's career is over. I bet, he's probably a shoo-in to headline the Hall of Fame next year. And, here's where we are. Rich?
Yeah, I mean, you hit pretty much everything I was going to say. The good hardcore matches have a little build up before you get hardcore. It's a little bit of, bare knuckle brawling, at least the outside, you go from there. This was just ECW, but owned from, the WWE ECW type of hardcore where just really too much pre-planning, not raw enough. It was just a rough match. It was way too long. It really should have been about half as long. I mean, if Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar's 2 minutes and change, and we love that match, this match could have been 8 minutes, and we would have liked it too. So,
well, listen, I like the personal style of the match being a grudge match, being for Triple H's career, being all the history they have. And if you wanted to do it like this, you could have went 16, 17 minutes, and it still would have been plenty long. That's a lot of time in a wrestling ring. So, this was just completely blown up. JT?
Yeah, I didn't mind the hardcoreness at the beginning because I thought it was going to be a little bit shorter than it was, but it wasn't. It dragged. They were gassed, both of them. I will go back to what I was listening to on the plane on the way here yesterday. I'm in Boston, so I listened to Talk is Jericho with Bully Ray. One of the things that Bully Ray had to say specifically about hardcore matches and people going long, he went long on Raw, him and Devon in a tables match or something like that. I don't remember what it was. He went long on Raw, 5 minutes, and that's a big deal for TV time.
Oh yeah.
Comes backstage. As soon as he walks through the curtain, he is nose to nose with Vince McMahon. What does Vince say? Don't you ever go long on television again unless it's that good. There's a difference in going long and it being fantastic, and there's a difference in going long and it having it drag. That went long and it dragged, and it was painful to watch because I liked both guys a lot.
Yeah. You and I really were hyped for this one. We thought it might be one of the
story.
best on the show.
The story that they told going into this match was great. And it just shit the bed and did it again. Sorry, Frank.
It's okay.
I'm gonna have to start watching myself. It really just didn't live up to the hype, and it sucked because I wanted the best for both guys, and it didn't work.
Richard?
Sorry, I had a bit of technical difficulties there. We're talking about
Batista and Triple H. What were your thoughts?
I thought he went through that.
It was okay. You know,
he did.
I talked about it before, but I mean, yeah, it was all right. I could have done without it, to be quite honest with you. It was a good grudge match. Obviously, it was a good way you knew Batista would go out at the hands of someone that he has that history with.
Right.
Yep.
But it was a good match. A little too long in the tooth for my liking, but again, it just was, the bar was set so high by the matches and segments before it that it's going to be tough. I think as we talk about the rest of these matches, we're going to say the same thing because, you know, first 2/3 are so strong. That's a lot to keep up with. So
yeah. By the way, shout out in the chat room right now for one of the most creative names I've seen in a while. You have to be a hardcore Sopranos fan to pick this one up, and I am. So Kevin Finnerty in the chat room. That is great. JT is not up to that yet.
No, I'm in season 4. I'm not there.
You're not up to that. There's a point. I'm not going to tell you how it happens, JT, but there's a point later on in the show where Tony is kind of dreaming and having an out-of-body experience, and he thinks his life is completely different than it is, and he's not Italian. He's not in the mob. He has no Italian accent, and his name is Kevin Finnerty. So it's really interesting. It goes on for like an episode or two, and I caught my eye in the chat room. I'm like, that is fantastic.
So
I'm
Frank,
enough to have caught that. It's awesome.
Frank and Rich, the best episode by far that I have seen, by far.
Paulie and Chris lost in the woods.
Paulie and Chris lost in the woods. He killed 16 men, and he's an interior decorator.
His place looks like
his apartment looks like crap.
Oh my god!
I
so good.
Lost it.
So
lost
good.
it. One of the
So
best
good.
episodes ever.
So
incredible.
So funny note on that. When Bacala shows up in the hunting gear, okay, that genuine laugh that you get from James Gandolfini, they played a prank on him. You don't see it in the shot, but Bacala is wearing an adult toy around his crotch. And Gandolfini completely lost it. And that's what you see in the show, is they put the shot of him just friggin' losing it on there. So it's just, it's so good. It's such a good show.
He's an interior decorator.
Yeah, exactly.
His apartment looked like crap.
Amazing.
So
good.
I'm
gonna throw this. What's that, JT?
I was just gonna say I texted you. I think it was in the middle of the day that I was watching this.
It was early in the morning. It was like 10:30 in the morning.
I texted Frank immediately, and all I said was his apartment looked like crap.
I knew right away. I was waiting for you to get to that one. I'm gonna make this one segment for 2 matches because we don't have to give a lot of time to either one of these, and I'll throw it to you guys. Baron Corbin defeated Kurt Angle in Kurt's last match, 6 minutes. Finn Balor defeated Bobby Lashley. Finn is the demon. That went 4 minutes long. Rich, these 2 matches back to back. These 2 went on before the main event triple threat with Becky and Charlotte and Ronda. What are your thoughts here, Rich?
I'll be quick. I mean, I hate Baron Corbin. I understand I understand like what he like. He has his purpose in wrestling, but I just
Does he? I
guess so.
No.
I like his move. I like his two special moves. I like a lot. But anyway, how do you have Kurt Angle job his last match to this guy? I would have I couldn't think of 15 other people I could take him losing to over Baron Corbin. I just don't like it. It makes no sense. The whole last year and a half of Kurt Angle has been shitty to me. Pardon my French, but I'm sad to say it because I love Kurt Angle, but it's just been a rough time. As far as the
Demon versus
match, it was. I loved it. I think it really goes to solidify in the long run that the Demon's going to be a special character that's kind of its own storyline within itself.
Yep.
For Finn Balor, and I'm cool with that. Bobby Lashley, I don't know. He's all right too. Like, there's guys who are just kind of like, burnt toast.
Yep.
Him and Baron Corbin, they're just there. They just exist. But so yeah, they're all right. But I was ready for coming
JT.
before the main event. Get out of here.
Yeah, we'll go to the main event. JT throwing it to you for the 2 matches. Go ahead.
Lame. I echo Rich. I absolutely hate Baron Corbin. Just hate so much. The Demon, I love. It was 3.5 minutes too long. If you're going to use the Demon, you need to use him in the right way, and they didn't. They didn't use him with Brock, which was absolutely ridiculous to me. But it is what it is. It's its own storyline inside itself. But this is where the show Batista, Triple H, Baron Corbin, Angle, Demon, Lashley is just it just wop wop. So, and the next one was even bigger.
So, my thoughts. Number one, not terrible for the Lashley Demon match because it didn't go long. It was only 4 minutes, but we really would have liked a total squash here. The entrance with 80,000 people there was awesome for the Demon. No question about it. We needed that at WrestleMania. That's awesome. This was the least that I hated Baron Corbin in a very long time. Joe and I actually thought, listen, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Joe and I actually thought that for what they could do with Kurt's limited ability, that this actually was a good little match that they put on. I liked it bell to bell. I didn't hate it. And yes, I knew that Corbin was going to win. I knew Kurt was going to go out on his back. And he had a moment with the microphone and the fans and thanked the fans. It was a moment. Listen, we all know. I'm not saying that this is fine. We all know Kurt Angle should have gotten a better final opponent. There's no question about it. But, for what it was, I thought it actually was a good little match bell to bell, I got to tell you. Now, let's talk about the real problem here. You did this back-to-back. After Triple H and Batista sucked the life out of us, you did this back-to-back along with a BS Carmella R-Truth dance break. By the way, she's just, I think Joe said it best. She's like the hottest fake-looking girl ever, which I think he's totally dead on and right. You had that all before the main event. Like, don't drag this out and give us a break. Like, just give it to us. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing. Like, I had in my match card Angle and Corbin going on before the main event, but I figured that would be like the one breather. You know what I mean? You did two of the basically nothing matches of this card before the main event when you're going until 12:30 at night. That's an issue. Okay. And then you added the dance break on top of it. I mean, my God, what were you thinking here? But yeah, for sure. Before the main event, people were basically like, oh, and then we tried to get in the main event. We're going to talk about that. But listen, this just I thought Balor was going to be after Triple H. I was very close. I thought Angle was going to be before Becky. I thought I was very close on that too. I just never thought the two of those were going to end up right next to each other. I just thought that was just really what sucked the wind out of everything here. And here we go into the women's triple threat. I'm going to throw it to you guys first. Rich, Becky Lynch does what we all knew what would happen. 21 minutes and a half. Becky Lynch wins by pinning Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch is your new Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. First ever women's main event of WrestleMania. What'd you think?
I think the match fell flat. I think we were always going to get I think what I wanted was to see Becky Lynch make Ronda Rousey tap out. I knew that would never happen. So I knew wrestling always wins. So I knew we were going to get a wrestling finish. So I knew she was going to pin Ronda. Having said that, I think I'm not saying anything new here. The ending was just a failed attempt at being a shocking finish. It just didn't do anything. I mean, you knew Becky was probably going to win. I thought so at least, but it just didn't have the big pop for the end of a 5-hour show. Yeah. I think the best woman in the match was Charlotte. I think she proves that she is
the best.
The three of them are great, but she is heads and tails above any woman in that company right now. So yeah, that's the ending was what I expected, but as a finisher, I could think of 4 to 5 other matches from that card that I thought were better. So
JT
hated it. I agree that this proved why Charlotte is so good. I wish she would have been showcased a little bit more in the match. I feel that she didn't get her just due in that match. The finish was what it was. We knew it wasn't going to be a tap out, but man, like it ruined such an organic build to someone like Becky where the fans got behind her and it just fell completely flat. I have watched it back and both times it's almost hard to watch. And I go back to this analogy that I said earlier. It was a Raw match. It was a Raw match.
I'll give you the live dose right now. This is what I can bring to the show because I was there. We still had energy at the end of the night because this was a match that we were all looking forward to. You can't even blame. I've been to Mania's where I can tell you we were flat out exhausted, but before the main event, we had no shot at getting energy. We were there. We were ready to go. And the match was planned so that there'd be like this big spot and we'd all get to our feet and be clapping and getting into it. But now they're just dragging and nobody's getting up. And now we're just all forced to kind of sit back down again because there's nothing going on, And it really killed the excitement. And there was no trade of finishers at the end for long 2 counts that could have got us into the match dramatically. And, I'm sorry, I've seen a lot of big matches end in roll-ups and things like that, even in big spots. But it just was done so poorly and not even on like a good sequence of moves or anything like that. It just really, really was the wrong finish for that match. That match, this was the first ever women's WrestleMania main event. This was the story of Becky having her WrestleMania moment, of Charlotte, of Ronda, all these girls who did something that's never been done in 35 years of WrestleMania. And you ended it so anticlimactic with no excitement for that crowd to pop. And what's crazy is that it was the right winner that we were all ready to pop for, but you're so literally looking at the camera like, wait a second, what? That's how she just won with that? Like, it just sucked. And it was almost like, the pacing of what happened before The Undertaker got pinned at WrestleMania 30. Like, the ref didn't count it dramatically.
Very similar.
And at the same time, we were shocked that the streak ended, but we were also shocked that it ended so suddenly in such a non-dramatic sequence. So it really hurt the end of that event.
Frank, did you guys get a live shot of Ronda coming in the helicopter?
You mean Charlotte?
That's what I meant, Charlotte. Sorry.
So that actually took place. It was shot earlier.
Well, yeah, I know that, but what I mean,
and I saw it when it was happening. I saw a helicopter around the rim of where I was in the arena. It was kind of just getting that corner shot that you see in the production, and it was about, I'd say, probably about an hour and a half before it really showed up.
Well, I know that it wasn't a live shot, but what I mean is, did you guys get that video footage in the arena?
Yes.
What was the reaction?
Everybody thought it was really cool.
It was really awesome, right? The one thing I will say about that, it happened, and then it fell flat for me. Like, I thought it was a cool idea, and then they went into.
Well, they went to Ronda's entrance after that.
It just made, and it almost felt like they they messed up. Like it
Well,
just didn't.
I think their thinking was, let's give it some time with Ronda's entrance to make it like Charlotte landed, had to get through the arena. This is all
I agree with that,
Yeah.
but even the ring announcer
Oh,
started calling not Charlotte, but he just started announcing, and then he was like, "Oh wait, we've got to introduce Joan Jett."
Right.
Like it's something about the entire from start to finish was not right about that match.
Yeah, I agree. There was just listen, I think we're all in agreement here. The WrestleMania 32 triple threat with Sasha and Charlotte and Becky was a better match.
Much better. And this is the first time that women main evented WrestleMania, and it'll probably be the last.
I don't know about that necessarily. I think they can I think they've had such a strong run with some of the feuds and the top stars that they've had, and I don't think they'll be like, oh, the girls messed up, let's never give it to them again. I don't think it'll be like that, but I don't think we'll see it in the next few years. I think it'll be a while. I think it's going to take another really, really hot feud program superstar that's getting over to a monumental level for it to get back to the last match. I really do.
All right, boys, I need to jump off. I have an early morning tomorrow morning, so I just wanted to come in and give a post WrestleMania reaction. I will be back at my house next week, so count me in. Rich, way to fill in. I appreciate it, sir.
No problem, man. Have a good night.
See you guys.
AT, thanks for coming on, buddy. We appreciate it. Rich, I know I kept you a little longer than I promised so far, but I just want to run through Raw and SmackDown, just some keys here. Raw, I thought, by the way, was a very good show, beginning to end, for what we don't usually get on TV. I got to tell you, 2.5 hours into the show, I was very satisfied. Just to quickly run through, Kofi and Seth Rollins had a great opening segment, challenged each other to a winner-take-all title match at the end of the night. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins defeated the Revival to keep the tag titles. Kurt Angle put Baron Corbin in the ankle lock, and then Lars Sullivan debuted. And we can talk about Lars quickly right now. Lars Sullivan debuted, destroyed Kurt Angle. Lars Sullivan came out tonight, destroyed the Hardy Boys after they won the tag team championships from the Usos. Lars Sullivan had a reenactment tonight of Brock Lesnar destroying the Hardys, basically. Lars Sullivan, I have not been hot on. I don't think he accomplished much in NXT to even warrant being brought up like this, but I have to say his look is off the charts. He looks like a guy that you absolutely do not want to mess with, and I am just loving that flying headbutt from that massive man.
I mean, you know me, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Absolutely.
One of my all-time faves, so any big man dropping a headbutt is cool with me. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm with you. I don't know. He has the look, and I'm sure that's probably why he got moved up quickly. But I don't know what to expect from the guy. He was on there for a cup of coffee, as some would say, on NXT. So, I mean, they like their monster heels, and that's all well and good. Let's see what happens with them. Hopefully he doesn't shoot himself in the foot with any social media stuff.
Right.
I know there was some stuff from his past. But, yeah, we'll see.
The rest of Raw can kind of run through quick. Alexa Bliss defeated Bayley.
What about the puppet? We forgot the puppet.
Oh, the puppet. Yeah, so we've had like this weird-looking animal puppet pop out of a box for the past 2 nights, by the way. I think everybody here is thinking it's Bray Wyatt. I mean, that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah, definitely. I just had to bring it up because I saw it on SmackDown again.
No, you're right. I'm glad you did because I didn't have that on the list here. Lacey Evans finally did something. She attacked Becky Lynch, and she attacked Becky Lynch again tonight. So it looks like the man, Becky Lynch, is going to have her first program with Lacey Evans, which I got to tell you, I don't see Becky losing the belts anytime soon. So, you would think, okay, it's good for Lacey to be in there with Becky for a big program right out the gate. But at the same time, you got to expect she's going to lose probably her first big pay-per-view match in going against Becky. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. I don't know if I love it or don't like it.
I agree. Like you said, good for Lacey, but guess what? Bad for Becky. She just had the moment of her career, and she's going from a massive main event at WrestleMania to Lacey Evans, who maybe has wrestled once or twice since she's been brought up to the main roster, if that.
No, actually hasn't even wrestled on the main roster yet.
Right? She just kind of walked around.
Just the catwalks. That's it.
Just hanging out. So, I mean, it's certainly good for Lacey Evans for that to be her first feud. But for Becky Lynch, like I said to you, I think we were texting before, not a good look. I think she's going downhill. I know it's a weird thing to say, but.
Aleister Black and Ricochet defeated Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Roode and Gable attacked them after the match. Looks like they're going heel. Bobby Lashley then attacked Dean Ambrose in Ambrose's final match. Match didn't happen. He destroyed him. At the end of the night, the Shield had a goodbye off air for Dean Ambrose. Looks like he is really gone. Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor accepted the challenge of a returning Sami Zayn, who then, by the way, cut an amazing promo, and he is going with this amazing gimmick and promo where he is going to trash us. That's right, the complaining, critiquing wrestling fans that we are about the fact that we don't go to shows and enjoy them. We're there to literally critique, and we should look in the mirror at our own lives. And I just thought the promo was absolutely stellar. The match with him and Finn Balor was great. This was awesome. Rich, I smell money with this right here.
Oh yeah, even tonight when he came out and pump faked with his mic work. I mean, I think we're onto something. I think it'll be good. What about the Randy Orton Kevin Owens thing? What was that about?
That was tonight. I think it was kind of just to get Orton and Owens on the show. I really feel like that. I don't really know what that was all about, but that was kind of weird. Then we had Elias do another segment and get interrupted by The Undertaker this time. The rumor is that the next Saudi Arabia show will feature a match between The Undertaker and Elias. This was probably the setup. That's fine. Okay. Listen, we all knew going into this main event that they were not taking the championship off of Seth Rollins or Kofi Kingston. So we knew that there was going to be this is what WWE did right now, right? You have the smartest crowd of the year at the show, watching the show. They are the WrestleMania fans. It's Raw. We have a big match with our two newly crowned champions facing each other for a winner take all in the main event. You've showcased it all night. We know what has gone on the past couple of years at these Raws and people debuting and returning and everything else. And in our minds, we're saying this match cannot end in a clean finish. Nobody's going to lose their championship here. Somebody is going to break this up. Well, they had Sheamus and Cesaro break this up and then became a tag match with Rollins and Kofi defeating them. And this was, I couldn't believe after 2.5 hours of such a great show that I was really so proud. And I was saying, oh my God, we're back on track. I'm just, Rich, I'm so ashamed that somebody that high up in WWE backstage thought that this was going to satisfy this WrestleMania Raw crowd to bring out two guys. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it needed to be Undisputed Era. No, if you didn't have them booked for this week to come out on the main roster, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can keep them down in NXT. They may have more to do. I didn't need them right now, but you literally put yourself into a corner by booking this and everybody knowing that big things happen on these types of shows. And then you had just two regulars come out and do something that could have happened. This could have happened on any other episode of Raw throughout the 52 weeks of the year. And this is what they trotted out for the end of the post-WrestleMania show. So this was, Rich, this is going to summarize all of it. The crowd started loudly chanting AEW.
Well, I don't want to hear about AEW just yet because as far as I'm concerned, there's just a T-shirt company right now because I haven't seen pay-per-view yet. So they have to have actually a wrestling event for them to be a wrestling organization. All jokes aside, though, how do you – the Monday after WrestleMania is because it sets up brand new feuds we haven't seen in the last 12 months. So instead of getting one of those for your two world champions, newly crowned world champions, we have Cesaro and Sheamus come in. Now, mind you, for a second I was like, okay, maybe they're each going to challenge one of them for the titles because they are singles wrestlers before they're tag team wrestlers. So I was like, even if that's the case tonight, they would have set it up. I'd have been okay with it. But just a throwaway tag team match with no story from there, it was just awful.
Yeah, it really was. And like you said before we came on the air, SmackDown tonight was very cookie cutter, just a really, really regular show. Nothing of great importance happened. Basically, it ended up being just the Hardy Boys winning the tag titles in a great match against the Usos. Lots of tag matches tonight. Good matches, don't get me wrong, with a lot of guys that we enjoy watching, but nothing groundbreaking happened. I mean, if you think about it, and I think this has to do also with the Superstar shakeup happening next week, which, by the way, I think is a big mistake to happen so close to WrestleMania. I think there's just too much. I think you could save that for a month or two out, but I don't think they know what they want to do. I don't think they know who they want to bring over to what shows. I mean, you literally didn't set up a feud going forward for anybody out of your two big men's champions right now. Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston have no line of sight as to what they're doing right now coming off those two shows. I mean, you have, I would say Daniel Bryan gets a rematch against Kofi Kingston.
Yes, yeah.
We know Brock Lesnar is not going to be around anytime soon, so we can get something new with Seth Rollins. We're going into Money in the Bank, so we're obviously going to get some briefcase winners, which should make this interesting. And that also comes into play with who you book against the champs, because you got to put some big prominent players into the briefcase match. That's what you have to worry about. It's kind of like booking the Rumble. You know, you've got some outside guys fighting the champions, and then you've got your big guys in the Rumble. So it's very interesting to see how that's all going to work. But, you know, SmackDown was very cookie cutter. Some notable things here. You know, New Day showed up on Raw. Braun Strowman showed up on SmackDown and attacked Samoa Joe, and he might be going to SmackDown in the draft. Drew McIntyre showed up. Drew McIntyre showed up tonight on SmackDown to team up with The Bar. So I'm glad, by the way, that they went loose with the rosters the past 2 days, because I think it just makes it more exciting.
Oh, yeah. Well, for one, I read somewhere that with SmackDown going to Fox that they want Braun Strowman there. So, as you just said, I think that there's a good chance he'll go over to SmackDown. Yeah, I love it too. I love mixing up with the two rosters. It's always entertaining. But, you know, we'll see what goes on next week. I will say one prediction. If they're on the same show, I predict Seth Rollins' first feud is going to be with Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
That's my
that's a good call. You know, yeah. Roman is going to come out, and basically they addressed it before, you know, a couple of weeks ago, that he is going to want a shot at that Universal title that he never lost. The question is, will they do that quickly? Will they make Roman go into the Money in the Bank and earn the briefcase? I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who they give the briefcases to this year. There's a lot shuffling right now. Listen, I hope they shake up the rosters well. I really would like to see everybody just back together and have one main championship, but, you know, I'll probably never get my wish there. It is what it is. But like you said, Rich, when we started all of this out, amazing weekend of WWE. Really, really good. Raw was so good until the end. SmackDown, a little generic, but still a good, enjoyable show. I think we're all burnt out at this point. We need our break, so we will not be watching any wrestling until Monday Night Raw next week. That's for sure. But we will be back here live next week, 10 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday night, live after SmackDown Live. Thank you to everybody who met us at the tailgate, saw us at WrestleMania. Hope you guys enjoyed the last couple of days as much as we did. Rich, any closing thoughts at all on all this? Any thoughts going forward? The mic is yours, my friend.
Simple as this. After the last little over a week of wrestling, I had to say I am proud to be a pro wrestling fan.
Okay. With that. It's a good feeling to say that proudly.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly, yeah.
It really is.
It was a great weekend.
I know. I got into the office today, and everybody was like, you know, how was it? This and that, everything else. And really, you know, everybody's kind of excited about it. They heard good things about it. Like, you know, it kind of reached out beyond the wrestling bubble, which was cool. You know,
exactly.
A lot of attention. So, great thing. And I'm really considering going to Tampa next year. I think, you know, maybe if we can even get the boys together and do a nice trip, it would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that are really asking and begging us to go. They want to see us down there to hang out. And I think, you know, when's it bad to get a trip from New York to go to Florida? I mean, that's never a bad thing. So we can definitely do that. Everybody out there, thank you again for watching the show, supporting the show, all that you do. We ask only a few things of you that cost nothing but your effort and time for 2 seconds. Please retweet the show on Twitter, share the show on Facebook. All we want is your love and support. Let everybody know where the best shows are on the internet at Wrestle Reaction. The LTG podcast drops every Wednesday with John and Doug doing an amazing job with that. We will see you back next week live, Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody.